Thank you. Thank you. Most welcome.
That's all. Now, let's begin with Mr. Mushtaq Hussain, who is the CEO of Rizq, and he has been involved with various corporates, big houses, big corporate houses like IBM, and he was also been there with the Bain Pay, which is the largest payment solutions in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, now so you can begin. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Ariba. First, let me thank everyone to spend their weekend morning listening to me. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. The second is I'm really thankful to Takwa Invest as a startup. They are doing, I think, a right thing to kind of educating the people, etc., which is impressive. Just a bit of a background about myself. As I said, my background is predominantly management consulting. Worked with the likes of Accenture. Can you guys all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear. I can
Yeah,
hear you.
yeah. So I come from the corporate world, the opposite of Dr. Muhammad. Um, so I have been working with the likes of Accenture, IBM, etc. Then I co-founded a fintech startup in Saudi Arabia called BayanPay. I believe they still exist. So I left them kind of middle of last year. Then returned back to the UK. I joined a fintech startup. I'm not one of the co-founders, but I joined them pretty early. I joined. I'm the CEO of Rizq as we speak. So this is the first alternate Islamic digital bank in the UK. The few things what attracted me towards Rizq was one. I know the challenge of having a as a Muslim every day. Using the traditional banking in the UK. Second was I was a big fan when HSBC started HSBC Amana in the UK back in 2000s. And I was one of their early customers. But unfortunately, they actually shut down Amana and they migrated all the customers to the traditional banking, which wasn't great. So I'm pretty much aware of all the Sharia compliant and the challenges Muslims face in the UK. I've spent last 8 years in the Middle East. Alhamdulillah, I know Saudi works very nicely. I know UAE has got a number of options for traditional and Sharia compliant. But unfortunately, it seems in the last since 2008 or so, the UK Sharia or the Islamic banking has kind of not great. There are a couple of traditional banks in the UK, but they are also kind of reducing their customer numbers, etc. So overall, I felt this was a great challenge to take up, to build and take Risk to the next level, and hence I am here. So um, can everyone? I put a couple of slides, not too many, just to go through it. So what problem do we have in the UK is, Muslims end up compromising the religious values for traditional banking. And as our previous speaker, Mr. Muhammad said, for Muslims, money is a day-to-day matter. In the sense, how you earn, how you spend, where you get your money, and how lavishly or how poorly you spend, etc., etc. So it's a whole ecosystem on its own. Hence, this is a big problem, and also we've also looked at across Europe. Europe also, as the Muslim population is growing. In UK alone, we have about 3 million Muslims in the UK, and if you consider Europe, there are about 30 million odd Muslims. And for them, having not having an Islamic bank is a big deal, we believe. So that's how the Risk was born. So we launched Risk in October 2020. And Alhamdulillah, we have been growing considerably fast since then. So we currently have about 43,500 odd customers. more than 1,000 waiting in queue because we have been very conscious in terms of adding cost to our stack, to be honest. So we have been very slow and steady in terms of onboarding our customers. But what we believe as a brand is to kind of give that lifestyle experience to the UK Muslims and not compromising on their religious values. This was why we started. I believe I wouldn't need this slide because I think Dr. Muhammad has kind of given a nice view on what Islamic banking is all about. It's basically, if you ask me in one line, it basically says, money cannot generate money. This is the whole concept. I feel so. If anybody wants to challenge me, I know there are muftis here, but this is what I believe. So what it means is it is only an exchange medium to buy products and services. So any financing, any instrument, what we use underlying is money, but then it has to be tradable. The second most important thing is we can't do anything which is haram or causing harm to humanity, with the likes of alcohol, tobacco, gambling, etc. So in a nutshell, and to I know I don't know whether there are any non-Muslims, but when I talk to people in the UK or in the Europe or US, I always say, look, Islamic finance is not only for Muslims; it is actually the most ethical banking in the world. So it is. You don't have to be a Muslim to do a Islamic, to join an Islamic bank. You could be anybody who believes in ethical values. So that's one of the core things I want you all to take from this. Now, in terms of the actual opportunity for Rizq is, we believe the opportunity we have is huge. We have about 30 million Muslims growing across UK and Europe. And as far as I know, there are only a couple of banks kind of dealing with the situation or providing some sort of services. Some of those traditional Muslim banks are not so digital. They are still old school, very painful to go and open an account, maintain an account. Most of the finance products are not available. Or, for example, if you try and take a mortgage, they will ask you for a high deposit, etc. So people end up going to the traditional banks anyway. And then they just stay there because their use with the banking community is, or the banking facility is not that great. So we believe there is a huge potential. We are looking at, so generally in the fintech world, we look at something called the average user, value per average user, active user, sorry. So which is about £500 is the estimated value for an average user in the UK and Europe as well. So we are only targeting about 2% of the Muslims in the UK and EU by 2023, which itself is a pretty big number. We are talking about 250,000 customers, considering the traditional banks in the UK has only about 100 or 150,000. It is a big number for us. We expect Rizq to have a high valuation of about 300 million by end of the year 2023. So what is Rizq, right? I've been saying Rizq. So what we stand for is primarily two core brands. So one is the B2C, which is the consumer brand. This is where the everyday money mattering to the Muslims come in, where you as a Muslim can open a bank account, get a debit card, and inshallah get any products we might be offering in the future. But we also want to bring the B2B ecosystem, which is predominantly the merchants. So what it means is, it has been, as per our survey, it's about 40% of the small and medium businesses in the UK are owned by Muslims. And again, they don't have a Sharia compliant banking. So what we are also doing is kind of building an ecosystem where a consumer can also get access to the Sharia compliant merchants, and the Sharia compliant merchants also, or the Muslim merchants also get a Sharia compliant bank account in the UK, along with whatever products we offer to them. Maybe if we don't currently offer any financing products, but inshallah in the future, when we have, business banking, business finance, etc., they might get the opportunity to do so. This is the core banking brand what we have. The second what we have is a risk lab. Now, what we have realized in the last maybe 6 months or so is we get a number of inquiries globally. So from the likes of Nigeria, Malaysia, personally, I've got couple of queries from Saudi Arabia, etc., where they were asking what core banking we are using and how they can leverage the technology what we have for their own purpose. And there are a number of fintechs also globally who are coming up with Sharia compliant ideas. So what we said was, anyway, we are building it for Rizq. Why not extend the technology to other people worldwide or other fintechs worldwide who wants to start or who wants to leverage and launch the Sharia compliant banking or finance products quickly. And hence the Rizq Lab was born. So the overall value proposition from a Rizq Lab is we would first develop for Rizq, implement it, test it, etc., and then potentially sell it on a license model to other parts of the world where Rizq doesn't have an interest in expansion. That's the whole idea. In terms of our core values, we believe in making or crafting experiences. As I said, Rizq, we believe in having a lifestyle for the Muslims in the UK and Europe. Hence, we want to have a craft their experience of Sharia banking. The primary reason for that is the current Islamic banks. The experience is pretty much not great, to be honest. It's more very paper oriented. You go to a bank, they give you like a 32-page document to open a bank account. You have to sit there half an hour, fill up every column in that document, and it's just a nightmare. So what we aim is to give decent experience, lifestyle experience to all our customers on Rizq platform. Second is making that the meaningful connections. So as a community, the Islamic community in the UK is pretty much close, and we are trying to build that whole community, bring them together under the Rizq banner. So what it means is we are helping to make them meaningful connections, at the same time have a lifestyle, and also kind of make those engagements in that community. The third thing is delivering consistent value. Now, if I do all this and not deliver value to my customers, I don't think, as a customer, they won't be very happy. So what we are also trying to do is kind of have cashback partnerships with the likes of supermarkets, retail chains, online chains, etc., where we are actually giving tangible cashback to our customers for using the Rizq cards, for example. We have already signed up with the likes of Asda, Nike, I think Primark, etc. So we have about now about 7 or 8 retailers, large ones, who are already signed up. But inshallah, we are continuing working on it. We still are getting a good traction from some of those bigger retailers. So when we launch our Rizq 2.0 next month, inshallah, it will all come into the new app. Now, the last pillar for us, or the last value we have, is transparency. Obviously, being an ethical Sharia compliant bank, we are transparent, inshallah. So, okay, in terms of what we have been doing, so in Feb last year, we are just a year-old company. We launched or we announced Rizq to the world. We needed money. We raised a pre-seed funding in April. And used that money to license all the tech. We released our first beta test accounts in July. In October, we released our first debit cards. In December, we announced a crowdfunding campaign to happen in end of Feb, inshallah. Primary reason, or now I think it will get pushed to kind of mid of March. The primary reason is we want to get the community to have a share of the action of the Islamic Bank. But we are also raising funds from VCs currently as we speak. Yeah, so if you have some VCs, if you know, just feel free to contact me. We are also, but the purpose of raising these funds is mainly to bring all the tech in house. We had licensed the tech before, now we are bringing it all in house. We are currently in from a licensing perspective. We are currently what we call the EMD, Electronic Money Distributor license in the UK. However, we want to go for a full-blown EMI license application in March, which inshallah gives us the ability to do all the financial transactions on our own and not dependent on anyone else. Currently, we operate under Rails Bank. So in April, we will launch, inshallah, the Rizq Labs. July, the team is busy working on the Rizq Business, which is the commercial banking, coming later this year. And then in September, to complete the ecosystem, we also want to offer the Rizq Pay to the Islamic merchants, which consists of the POS terminals and online payment gateway. So I touched upon it. So we have already signed up with a number of partners. At the same time, we did get a lot of media attention as well, considering we are the first UK's Islamic digital bank or a new fintech. We got FaceTime on Sky. We have already partnership with Visa. Some of the other ones I mentioned. So we had Halfords, Clarks, etc. We already signed up. The other two partners we are currently working on is the National Zakat Foundation. So one of the things as a Sharia compliant or Islamic bank we want to do is to kind of remove the friction from giving charity. So in the UK, the Muslims actually, alhamdulillah, give more charity than anyone else. So on an average, the Muslims in the UK contribute about £300 per head. Which is much higher than any other religious religion in the UK. So we have already signed up a partnership with National Zakat Foundation, which basically means we launched that just before Ramadan. So what it means is any Rizq customer will be able to give his sadaqah and zakat in after we do the next release directly from their bank account to National Zakat Foundation. What it also means as a new bank for us is we do get some of their marketing, we do get some of their press, but it also kind of brings the whole community together in terms of giving charity, etc. We might be inshallah switching from Visa to MasterCard because MasterCard also has got this whole community inclusion thing they want us to be part of. That's in progress. So inshallah, by end of this quarter, we might be switching, or just maybe after Ramadan, we might switch to MasterCard. So that's in terms of partnership, and that's it. I think nice and sweet. So that's about Rizq.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting us know about Rizq.
I think I'm open for it. No.
Yeah, so we wish Rizq good luck for the future endeavors. Yeah, so we are open for questions now. Kindly post your questions. Okay, there was one question which we missed. It was, let's delete it. Okay. One question is, what type of skill set do you look for while taking a candidate on board with Rizq?
Good question. Look, we are a new fintech, and we have a small team. We fully rely on digital. I'll tell you the reason. One of the reasons we found why the other or the incumbent Islamic banks are so lousy is because of their digitization. Okay. They do have people, but it's just that they are too much paper oriented. So anything and everything takes a lot of time. So that's a primary reason for them to be super inefficient and super expensive. So what we have been trying to do, or we have been doing, alhamdulillah, so far, is to have a nice technology platform which can operate with minimal headcount. So we have a small team, but having said that, we keep looking for continuously looking for good candidates. So irrespective of what areas we belong, we do look at candidates all the time. So if you are in the compliance, if you are in the risk area, if you are in the treasury, if you are in the customer success, technology, etc., we do kind of review CVs on a regular time. So just send your CVs to the. I think there is a LinkedIn page for Risk. So if you can contact the Risk team, it will come to us, and we store all our CVs to make sure that whenever we need people, we hire the right people. Does that answer your question?
Okay, so the next question, yeah, there's one more question. How
Okay.
risk is complied with the regulatory and policy frameworks in both Sharia and fintech aspect? Do you know any other UK based institutions?
So it's a double, two questions actually. So from a UK regulatory perspective, we are a EMD, which is electronic money distributor license, which is just one level below the EMI. So basically, with our EMD license, we need an EMI sponsor to work under. So our EMI sponsor currently is a company called Rails Bank, and we have a contract with Rails Bank which clearly says we are a Sharia compliant bank, which means these are the things they can do and these are the things they cannot do. One of them is for obviously riba. The second thing is they can't charge us interest on our transactions. And our transactions should not be, or our customers' transactions rather, should not be allowed to do gambling. Should be not blocked in merchants which are non-Sharia compliant, etc. So all that is included in the contract with our partner. However, because we are under the mercy of another partner, we really want to get our own EMI license, which will allow us to kind of do all this on our own. So hence, inshallah, we will apply for a EMI license this year. It generally takes about 10 to 12 months to get it approved if we have all the paperwork in place. And so that will give us more flexibility in terms of doing that. Now, the third part to that question is the Sharia compliance of our offerings. We have Mufti Talha, who is our Sharia advisor. So Mufti Talha comes with about 22 years of experience within the space. Very innovative guy, very innovative person. So he helps us with making sure our contracts, our products and offerings, etc., are Sharia compliant. Thank you. Does that make sense? I mean, did it answer the question? Whoever asked it.
Okay, so the next question is, do you plan to tap markets like India that have almost no options as of today for Islamic banking and finance?
So currently, no. So we are just a baby. Yeah, you're asking us to get away and run a marathon. Not yet. So we are establishing. So the plan is, inshallah, establish ourselves in the UK. 2022 mid, I think we will, inshallah, look at expanding to Europe. There is already one bank in Germany, I think, called NIA or something like that. Insha, I think. There is a bank called Insha in Germany already. They're doing very well. So inshallah, next middle of next year, we will look at expanding to Europe, and then after 2023, depending on fintech is a very fast moving world, yeah. So things might change a lot by 2023. So we don't know that yet. So who knows? Maybe the Indian regulation might change. I think the reason why probably in India it's not there because of the regulation. So maybe by 2023 the regulation might change. We don't know. So inshallah, we will look at doing that. But one of the things definitely we are looking at is I'm actually personally involved in speaking to some of the banks in the UAE, etc., to make partnerships for our customers to give those tangible benefits or cashbacks, etc., for using their risk pay accounts in other parts of the world. Because we believe a lot of our customers are going to do Umrah, Hajj, travel to Dubai, travel to Middle East, Asia, India, Pakistan, etc. So we want to kind of tie up partnership with the merchants, with the businesses over there, which can give our customers, tangible benefits like cashback or some better options, coupons, etc.
Okay. So there is one more question, and I think so. Somebody deleted it. I think so. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much
Thank you very much.
for letting